going on there and make changes. I'll talk a little bit more about the actual source code in a few more slides down. So once you've got the zip that we've previously talked about with all the files, you want to ensure that you have the most recent jar file for the emulator that supports the Samsung Instinct. Jay was working the last couple of weeks with Samsung to get a new version of this jar file. It was released to our website on Monday, I believe. So now you can go grab that new jar file. There's instructions on the website of where to properly put that on within the install directory of the Sprint Wireless Toolkit. And then you'll get the updated version of the emulation, which includes some of the bug fixes and things that have been changed over time. From there, if you want to start building your app, again, the user guide that's included has a step-by-step instructions of how to set up the SDK. So how to import the jar engine into the SDK and then run it, and then also shows you step-by-step sort of how to build your first Hello World application. So if we take a look at the visual designer and sort of visually walk through what it looks like, what you see on the screen here are 3 screen captures of the app. Typically, you would start your application with a blank canvas. That's not pictured here in one of these 3 pictures. But with your blank canvas, you would double click on the screen, and you would see the menu, which is the left screen capture. From this menu, you see a couple different options there. The one that we're interested in now is adding a widget to the screen. So we'd select Add. We then get a list of all of our widgets. I don't have the full list of widgets shown here in the screen capture because it's a scrollable list, but you would go in and pick the actual widget you want to add. Let's say editable text in this example. Once you click editable text, it's going to take you back to your blank canvas, and you're going to have your editable text item there on the screen. As you see on the right image there, you'll notice a little bubble above the actual widget itself. That bubble is showing you the coordinates. So now using your finger, or if you chose using a stylus, you can grab that item and easily scroll it around the screen to place it where you want. From there, you would go through the process of adding more widgets, more buttons, etc., putting them all in the correct places that you wish. If we look at an individual widget itself, as you know, each widget has different features, components, functionalities, settings, colors, things like that. We tried to add as much as support to alter those settings as possible. So, for example, what we're showing here is that if you have a text widget in place, you can press and hold on that widget. It'll expose a context-sensitive menu. That context-sensitive menu has a couple options. The one we'll talk about first is the ability to pull up the properties. So we can pull up unique properties for that actual widget. In this case, we have the ability to set the name, which is going to be the actual name used in the variable name used in the source code. So if you, for example, if you want to name it text password, if it was a password field, you can apply that name there. So when the code is generated, it's already following your naming scheme. You can set the default text, and in this case, we've added some sort of extra features where you can actually set vertical and horizontal alignment. Those are not default properties of the actual widget itself, but when the code is generated, we'll insert the actual code for you that properly handles how to center the text on those items. Also, one item that we've put in that list there is the ability to do an automatic horizontal center. So there's a lot of times when you have things like buttons that you may want to not drag them around and try to figure out where the center is. You can automatically have it just calculate the center position and then move that on your behalf. The next thing we'll talk about that the designer does is the ability to show guidelines or grid lines to help you with your alignment. Pretty simple concept here, but it definitely comes in handy because not all widgets are exactly the same width. So then there comes a little bit of artistic science in how do you place your buttons side by side. For that, we can turn on guidelines for each widget that's on the screen, or you can turn individual ones on and off. That will then let you drag your widget around and try to line it up appropriately with other widgets. Once you actually have your application set and in place, we'll generate our code. So we'll open our menu, select Create Code. If it's successful, we'll get a message that tells us where to find it. In the case here on the screen, if you can read the small text on the right, it's telling us that we're running on the emulator and that we need to go fetch it from the Sprint Wireless Toolkit directory, and it shows us exactly where to get it. If you were running this on the device, that message would actually change, and it would tell you where on your SD card to fetch that. If for some reason you did not have an SD card loaded into your device at the time you tried to create the code, you will get a pop-up message saying that there's an error and that your SD card is missing. Not a problem. Just insert an SD card in and then recreate your code. Also, if you're running on the desktop in the emulator, whenever you generate your code, not only does it save a local copy to a file, but it also will spit that code out into the console within the SDK. So if you go back into your SDK, if you go back into the wireless toolkit and look at the actual console output where you would see your system.out statements, you'll see the code actually was spit out there as well as saved locally. So to wrap up on the Instinct Visual Designer, again, it's open source, so we've provided the source as part of the download. The reason we provided the source is a couple-fold. One, we wanted to provide a sort of basic tool to get it out the door quickly, and then also we know that there's probably going to be some features that we didn't build into this that maybe you would want to add. So we figured providing the source code would be the easiest and best way to allow you to add your own features if you chose to do that. Specifically, maybe you've built your own custom widget item and you want to include that into the tool for your own purposes. You could definitely do that since we've provided you the source for that. The other reason we also provided the source is that we've got some small utilities, UI-type utilities that were built in there, convenience utilities that we use to build this app. Specifically, if I go back in some of my slides, I'll point out some of these. On the right side of the screen, the properties that you see here is actually a pop-up. So we have a pop-up here that can actually have widgets sit on top of it. But more importantly, this pop-up will automatically align the widgets. In the screen capture you see here, the alignment's a little bit off because this was an early version. I made some changes to the code last night, so what you download will have proper alignment. But basically you can say, give me a new pop-up, and just throw the widgets at it, and it'll automatically align those on the screen for you. You don't have to tell it where to put them. As far as the buttons, you can tell it to align the buttons automatically at the bottom, on the left or the right. Again, you don't have to go through the process of telling them exactly where to put them. Some other things that include in there, in the center, you see a list item. The text is centered in this case. If you've worked with lists before, you know that for each list item you have to sort of manually go through and put your text into the right placement. As part of some of the things we've provided here are some neat little extensions that will automatically do the centering for you, as well as the title on the screen is automatically centered through a neat little extension that we provided in there. So those different extensions that were provided, those are not the full extent of all the extensions. We will be releasing hopefully soon, in the terms of 1 or 2 weeks, some more of those extensions that work with automatic layout and some things like that. Again, those will be open source, so you can pick and choose at them and make your own changes as you wish. Also, we encourage you to provide feedback through our forums on our website. That would be the most appropriate place. If you found a major bug or something like that, we can take a look at it. We're not promising that we're going to fix every single bug that gets found, but if you find a major bug that keeps you from using the tool, we'll definitely look at it and attempt to address it and release it back to the public. And also, if you decide to make some of your own changes to the app and you wish to share those, please feel free to post your code on our forum for everyone else to grab, take a look at, and use in their own way.